Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome. We have such a great show for you today. I am your host, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I am also the executive producer, director, and broadcast engineer. And guess what? We're celebrating our 400th broadcast this week. What a journey it has been. Thank you so much for taking it with us. You are watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn Presents Celebrate Great Britain Royally Rich Show. And my co-host, Mr. Al Cini, has the day off. Hi, Al, we're thinking of you. Let's welcome the stars of our show, Ian Pelham Turner and Helena Chard. Welcome. Hello.
The stars of our show, and Helena.
Oh my gosh, we're getting some background noise. We have some technical difficulties there, but that's okay. We'll get it straightened out in just a moment. We've got two amazing guests who are backstage ready to join us. Let's go back to Ian and Helena. Oh, they've actually dropped off for the moment. So, as I mentioned, this is our week of our 400th show. It's actually coming up right after this on the Underdog Show. And so in less than a year, we have broadcast 400 shows, or just about to. And how does that happen? It happens through investment, determination, dedication, people out there watching. Our audience has been growing. We now have a global representation from around the world with our guests and our co-hosts. And we just thank you so much for everything that you're doing to help this to happen. So while we're waiting for Ian and Helena, let's take a quick commercial break. We're going to hear from two sisters, Victoria and Lavinia. They've got a beautiful song called Paradise, and you can go and follow them on Instagram. So we'll be back with Ian and Helena right after this. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you to the debutantes, to sisters Victoria and Lavinia. You can follow them over on Instagram, the debutantes. Welcome back to Celebrate Great Britain Royally Rich Show. Let's now welcome the stars of our show, Ian Pelham Turner and Helena Chard.
Welcome back to
Welcome.
Welcome back to Celebrate Great Britain. Let's now
Oh my gosh. Something is going on there. This is what happens in the live world, right? So let's go back. Maybe they can go on mute for a moment.
Something is going on.
Can you put on mute for a second?
This is what happens in the live world, right? So
They can go on mute. Oh my gosh. Let me see. Put you on mute for a second. Okay, I put them on mute. Well, they figure that out. I'm wondering if you have another device on, anything, a phone, an iPad, anything else that might be on.
Device on, anything, a phone, an iPad, anything else, iPad.
Okay, well, let's see. There we go.
Okay.
All right, guys, I guess we should continue on with the show. Let's see if their technology is fixed.
All right, guys, I guess we should continue on with the show.
Continue on with the
Let's see if their technology is
All right.
Technology is fixed. I guess we guys.
So, Ian, shall we move forward with bringing on Trey?
Technology. All right.
It's really hard as long as you can understand because what we're doing.
So, Ian, shall we move forward with bringing on?
Yeah. Okay. All right, folks. We are going to bring out our first guest. Welcome to the show, author Trey Sean Bensami. Nice to see you.
Our first guest.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you here. And obviously, we've got some technical difficulties. Maybe Ian and Helena want to come back out and come back in. Maybe that would work. So anyway, welcome to the show. It's nice to have you back. You were here before and with your family.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing what you have accomplished.
Thank you.
Let's just start off with your age, because I think this is so incredible. And you've already almost put in a lifetime of things that you've accomplished at the age you are today.
Yes, I'm 16 years old today. And since then, I've done many things to like write books, do different talks, come up with many various different things, and just exploring things and giving it my all.
And you come from a family of very successful people also. Has that had any impact, or what impact has it had, should I ask?
I think that it definitely had an impact, because then you're able to sort of like adopt that sort of framework, that mindset really, and also you're able to understand and look at things in a different way. But then also, as a result of obviously like going on that journey and seeing obviously in those successes, there definitely have been times where they've had struggles. There's been things that they've had to overcome. So I guess being able to see both sides of that, it then mentally prepares you for what's to come along that journey as well.
And I want our audience to know that you are one of the youngest entrepreneurs in Great Britain. And that's got to be just so exciting and a badge of honor.
Absolutely.
How would you describe that feeling?
I'd say it's quite surreal, really, because also by being one of them, you obviously have to set that example. You have to sort of like lead that way and lead that path, so to speak, and be like a trendsetter in a way. And then by doing so, you have to be more conscious about the things that you're doing as well, because people can sort of like use that as a blueprint. So I guess just making sure you're doing things right along the way as well.
I think you just brought up something that's really important, and it's taking the time and the effort to do the right things.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had on a show earlier today about new business owners and how and I'm I'm guilty of this. I've made a number of mistakes along the way because you're in such a rush to get everything accomplished, and your head is in the business, but you're not seeing the big picture. You're not taking a more strategic approach. Have you found that as well?
Definitely a number of times.
Yeah, and we learn from all the little mistakes we make along the way. We don't call them failures, we call them learnings, right?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. And just literally just about taking it the first time, actually learning from pretty much just taking what you need to take from it. Because like at the end of the day, like if you're not gonna take anything from it, it's just gonna repeat itself in a number of different ways until you take away those teachings.
And this might be difficult because you've accomplished so many things and so much in such a short time, but how did you start your journey?
So for me, initially when we actually got started, for me it was about confidence because I had little to no confidence at the time, up to the age of around 12 to 13 at least. When it came to outside of school, I had no confidence. And I guess as a result, going on that journey and having my family and a couple of mentors who were able to support me along the journey, that then allowed me to not only find myself, but also rebuild my confidence. So that's one of the things that sort of like motivated me and what I really did at the start. And then I then found my love and passion for things like maths, for finances, for teaching, for public speaking, and so on and so forth. And through that, it was able to get me to doing different like speaking gigs, publishing books, and just pretty much to share my message with the world.
And what a message it is. Our co-hosts are the stars, are backstage. Let's bring them out again. Here we go.
Hello.
Hello, welcome back. Yes.
We're back.
Yeah.
That's great. So guys, we were just about to talk about what gives him the ideas for his business ventures. I'm going to switch your seats.
Excellent. So, okay, Trey, tell us your business ventures.
I guess sort of like behind everything, there's always that one purpose, that one thing that keeps me driving. And for me, the whole purpose is literally just to financially liberate 1 million people through the teachings of financial education. So teaching things like affirmations, mindset, and a bunch of other things as they all come into play when it comes to working towards financial security and taking those steps towards financial freedom. Like for instance, one thing that I came up with recently is sort of like these miniature cards. I'm not sure if it's clear, but it's called Affirmations for Success with T7. But it's literally just little fun bite-sized things for kids, adults, so that they're able to get started in affirming, in changing their mindset, in, I don't know, maybe just like, for instance, books. Books is something that really helped me to not only get my message out there and share it with the world, but then also think about how I'm sharing myself with the world, as that is something that is so important. And I guess like being on different types of social media platforms is another great way just for you to share yourself with the world. But then also by being on these different places, it then gets you thinking. So then having that purpose in mind, having that why, that vision, and then you're able to just apply that to many different areas of your life. So be it a course, for instance, like coming up with like a book writing course, be it, I don't know, maybe different what we call side hustles you may want to come up with. Like some people do different things, drop shipping here and there, but it's literally just about finding out what works for you. And as long as you have a genuine purpose, a genuine why, a mission, and always some a form of giving back involved, I'd say that's a great way to get started. But for me, there's many different things, for example, like books, sort of like any speaking that we do, any like coaching, mentoring, but there's a number of many other ones which I can't go into. But another way also which I teach is trading, which is something that is so amazing and actually allows people to actually make money from the comfort of wherever they desire, funny enough. So that's something I'm really pushing forward, and it's actually something that I teach in my financial mastermind group, as that's something that I believe is so important, just having that basic understanding of how money works, so you're able to get into the flow of making money work for you, as opposed for you constantly having to trade your time for money. But there are a number of different ways, a number of different ventures, projects, ideas that I have in the upcoming waterworks, really.
by the way. Unbelievable, right? I know you just shared a number of initiatives that you have and a number of projects. Are there any other projects that you're working on that you'd like to tell us about?
There are, so as a family, like we each have our own book writing courses. Is that something that sort of like our followers on social media have been asking for quite a while? So we thought that it's about time that we give that a go. And then there's a bunch of live events that we're going to be putting on, sort of like more mastermind groups, really. So anywhere between like 10 to 30 people, and both ones for youth and young adults, so they're able to maybe brainstorm business ideas, see how they're able to collaborate on projects, but just more collectives that we're able to share ideas and collaborate.
Thank you.
Tracy, you are such an entrepreneur. There are so many different things to do, which is fabulous. What advice would you give, or can you give, to young entrepreneurs who want to follow in your footsteps?
I think one word of advice that I'd give is literally do not set out to copy anyone, because that will not work well. It's about magpieing different things. So let's say there's maybe the way that I write or the way that I speak, you may think, okay, that's really cool. And then you can see how you can then add your own spice, add your own sort of like just personalize it really and making it your own, because like at the end of the day, you are unique. Like people are gonna love you for that. So it's literally just about adding your own sort of like adding your own spice to in the mix, just making it you. And then when you're able to find your core message or just something that you both are knowledgeable on but also connect with, then you're able to find your purpose, you're able to find your why and a mission that is then bigger than you. And then I'd really just encourage that you have the two. So a mission that is bigger than you, and also a mission that is personalized. So then that way you both have something that you're working to achieve for others, but also something that you're working to achieve personally. And then I think just in addition to that, I would say let's just set out your intentions for the day. So you're able to obviously get things done, but also in a way that you're able to sit back and relax at some point during the day as well.
Trey, I know that you've been home educated for a long time,
yeah,
and your mother really believes in that. How important do you think is the style of education that you have received and your family has received by your mother? How has it shaped your life and your career?
I guess it's just been a huge, huge door opener. Like initially, I was set from taking that transition from mainstream school to homeschool. It was quite tough. Like there were a bunch of challenges, unforeseen actually. For instance, the social aspect. But then when you're able to do the same, if not more, whilst being homeschooled, then it's pretty much win-win. They go hand in hand. When you're able to find that social aspect along with the homeschooling, then you're able to pretty much set yourself up for success, as I like to say, because when you're able to allocate time needed for certain subjects, and then obviously, like let's say you're struggling with core subjects, you can allocate more time to those, as opposed to maybe GCSE. You can then obviously just make sure you're improving on those slowly and gradually, whereas you may be, or just vice versa, but it definitely allows you that sense of self-control, so you're able to pretty much just structure your studies in the way you desire. And I think that is definitely just really, really cool, because then there's no such thing as like, okay, we're gonna have to go slower or faster. It's completely up to you. And let's say you're grasping concept or a set task or a category or anything like that, then you can obviously move on a lot quicker than you would be able to in school. So I think that's something that is really, really cool about homeschooling.
That does sound very cool. Trey, I know our audience and I definitely want to know, what are your plans for the future?
Absolutely. Yeah, so recently I got into a top college over here in the UK. So going to be studying maths, economics and psychology starting in September. So super, super excited for that. I cannot wait. It's going to be something that I'm really, really looking forward to getting back into. Obviously, as we said earlier before we went live, have the scholarship for America when I turn 18. That's both sports and academics. So look forward to that. Currently, just exploring myself further in the sort of like finance arena, developing my trading, financial education, understanding. I actually took a step back from that recently, as I guess like through trading, there's a number of different things which you can get caught into, for instance, like fear, greed, and took a step back from that recently. I just wanted to get back to basics and remind myself that a couple of the things that I fell back into. So there's a number of different things. And then, as I said, like coming up with different courses, sort of like re-establishing myself on social media, Instagram in particular. Have something really, really cool that I'm going to be releasing on there sometime this week, if not the start of next week. Yeah, but there's a bunch of things that we're going to be sharing on social media in the upcoming weeks. And then there are a few sort of like short, I'd say short movies that are going to be releasing as well.
Wow. There are so many things. You're doing so much. You're so young. It's so inspiring to young people. Fabulous. I mean, obviously, you're still on your journey, but I mean, up until now, have there been any obstacles or anything you've had to overcome that you can share with us?
Absolutely. So there's been quite a few. So obviously, like initially, when I got into the whole personal development arena around 7, confidence was something that I had a huge struggle with. And then my stepfather, who was with us at the time, didn't really help. If not, it actually made it worse. So then that was something that we had to go on a journey as a family. So me, my siblings, mom and grandma, that was something that we obviously had to work through. And then, funny enough, despite I was like being good at football and obviously getting the scholarship to go to America, it was something which I was completely the opposite of up until the age of around 8 or 9. Like I've always been fast and like athletic, but there was no skill behind that. So it was something that I really had to develop myself on and actually work on a lot more. And I think that's something that really did change my mindset and also change the way that I work as a person. Because obviously in football, you can't be quiet on the pitch, otherwise you're not going to get the ball, you're not going to get those opportunities. Saying that also, that allowed me to take those teachings, those learnings, and then apply them to different areas of my life, so be it maybe school life or different things like that. And then it definitely shift my framework of when it came to like homework, extensions, different like that, so I'm able to push myself. And yeah, those are a few of the things really.
Trey, you're 16 years old. You've got the world at your feet. How would you describe where you are in your life right now? And is it a typical 16-year-old that I'm watching, or is it a very senior head on a very young frame? Tell me, what's the secret?
There's no. It's quite simple, really. Like it's something that people often ask, but it's literally just a matter of just having these ideas and getting them down on paper. That's as simple as it is for like all these books. Like I've written 14 books a day, I believe, 14 books to date, I believe, and people just say, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy." But as crazy as it may sound, it's literally just a matter of having an idea, breaking it down, writing, and then publishing. And those steps may be something that may be, oh my gosh, so daunting. But when you're able to break those down and have someone to sort of like hold your hand along the process, then it becomes a lot more easier, a lot more stress-free, and this process becomes a lot more effortless. So I wouldn't say there's anything sort of like special about me or anything like that, but it's literally just a matter of having these ideas and taking action on these ideas. And at the end of the day, like kids of all ages have ideas. Like you can literally just pretty much just take a walk outside and you'd hear kids of all different ages giving all sorts of ideas. And then when you're able to take them more seriously, think, okay, there may be something to this. Why don't we further expand on this? Like, I think I was 11 when I first hosted my event at Arsenal Football Club. And that was I'm That Kid Bridging the Gap Between Fathers and Sons, which was a call out to obviously my stepfather for him to be there, as well as obviously allowing those who attended to reestablish that and reconnect and improve that relationship between both them and their father. But then just a matter of putting these ideas to paper and seeing how you're able to then execute. So the relationship is just about having the idea, getting it down, and then execution. But when you're able to work in these 3 steps, or maybe even backwards as well, then you're able to sort of like set yourself up for success. You're able to do things which people may say are absolutely amazing, but it's literally just about following this 3-step process. And then another thing is just writing things down, which is something that is so important, because at the end of the day, like, we're all gonna forget things here and there. But then when you're able to write things down, like, there's been many great things that I've shared, and if it weren't for me writing it down, they would not have been shared. So it's just about being able to write things down, plan, execute, and so on and so forth. And also having that mastermind, because in groups, then you're able to share, you're able to collaborate, you're able to express these ideas, and also you're able to shift each other's perspectives on things. Like, there may be a different, obviously we each have our own different perspectives. And then when you're able to work in these groups, people are able to share and also express and elaborate on the different ways that you can sort of like convey a message in multiple different ways.
Trey, that was brilliant. I was just listening to what you said, and a thought came to mind that regardless of what age we are, we all encounter distractions that try to take us off the path that we're on. So what would you consider to be distractions, and how do you minimize them? I know you talked about 3 steps and writing it down, but what would be distractions to you in your journey, and how do you address them or minimize them?
Absolutely. Great question. So initially, like, when lockdown started, it was a huge struggle. Like, the time management was just not there at all. And like, there were a number of tasks which I was just constantly falling behind on. And I was always caught up on my phone doing something else. Social media was one of them, spending countless ridiculous amounts of time on there, really. And when you're able to structure your day in a way that, okay, let's say I want to wake up at 5, 6, or 7 even, as long as you're able to get done what you need in those hours without those distractions, obviously it's very difficult to get rid of all of them, but as long as you're able to minimize them and try your best, then that's what counts. Like, for instance, let's say you have to write a book for an hour or so. What you can do instead is, and maybe either shut down your phone and put on do not disturb, or something that I've been seeing a lot lately that people find helping them is actually completely shutting off notifications. So it feels as though nothing's coming through to their phone. But it's just about implementing little things like this, so you're able to obviously stay focused on the task at hand, as well as obviously making sure you're giving it your all without any distractions. Like, for instance, when it comes to writing, for me, it's something that I'm able to get on with for a good half an hour to an hour without sort of like getting out of flow. So let's say that's something that works for me consistently. I can think, okay, instead of trying to put 2-3 hours into writing a book today, I can think about putting half an hour or an hour, because that's what works for me. But it's literally just about seeing what works for you, having that schedule in place, and then adjusting it accordingly. Because it's not something that you can follow day in and day out. There needs to be that day of maybe fun, a day of rest, or a day of and maybe going out with your friends or something like that. But it's just about doing things in moderation, as that's what's able to really keep you motivated and actually create that, actually make that a discipline. Because obviously motivation only would last so long. Like, there's only so much motivation that can get you through what you need to do. But then when it becomes a discipline, sort of like a way of life, and something that you do regardless of whether you're feeling very good today or whether you're feeling a bit down, then it's something that you know is just going to put you in the right mood. Like, for instance, for me, like, a way that I love to start my days is doing sort of like an hour workout, as that's something that really gets me in the right mindset, and the right, just gets me feeling really pumped and feeling as though, okay, this day is going to be great. And then literally just about seeing how you're able to sort of like implement those little mood uplifters along the way, so you're able to stay focused whilst obviously feeling really energetic at the same time.
I love that comment about notifications. I think that's a great one because we're so distracted by so many things.
Yeah.
Ian and Helena, what about you when it comes to distractions? What do you guys do to minimize yours?
Distractions. Gosh.
That's a very good. Well, I mean, as Helena knows, I do my exercises in the morning. That's the teapot. I have my regular morning workout. That's the exercise I probably do. I think with distractions these days, there's so much going on right now. Trey will know as well. I mean, for Helen and myself, it's like a tsunami of business opportunities that suddenly come sweeping over us, and having to sort of deal with all these people at the same time. And shows like this are fabulous shows. This is not a distraction. This is an attraction. Let's turn it on its head. It's an attraction at the same time to actually work with something like this.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think, hey, we all have to be kind to ourselves. I think the last year and something has been a very, well, what can we say? It's not a normal situation. So it's a matter for me. I mean, every now and then I think, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And then I think, no, just chill. But I like to be able to have my lists. I'll have a structure that I'll do the night before. And then I like to start things early. And if things go a little bit wrong, well, hey ho. I love to get out. For me, if I need to get out, I change of, environment, wind, sun, you name it, get the heart pumping. And then it changes your mindset. If I just sort of go on course a bit. And then I'm back.
And I think with me, that the unfortunate part is the cookie jar for me.
You need to show he has a bag.
Let's see it. Let's see it, Helena.
The cookie jar is always there just in case.
Well, I think that the gym is a great way. I joined the gym. I hadn't been in a gym since March of last year, and I had all these reasons in my mind about why I couldn't go back to the gym. And I've been going to the gym for my whole life. So I went back 3 days ago, and it's really good to help with the distractions. And also, I'm on Clubhouse, and they send notifications constantly being across the top of your phone. So I just said, I'm not going to miss anything. It's that fear of missing out if you miss that notification. So I just pause it for a week. That's it.
Yeah, but you know as well as I do. You've been telling me that you've been bouncing up and down on the trampoline with hula hoops. So that's undoing, Dr. Jacalyn. There's a lot of needed for something like that.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. So as I mentioned, I've been working out my whole life. I had a personal trainer. And then during the pandemic, I worked out at home. So with the trampoline and the hula hoops. But guess what? I wasn't in the shape that I used to be in. And I kept saying to myself, it's okay. It's okay. Well, I decided 4 days ago now, it wasn't okay anymore. I had to take it to the next level to get out of my comfort zone.
I often wonder what the neighbours think, though, bouncing up and down, and people are looking through your window wondering what you're doing.
I wave to them like this. Oh, Trey, it's such a pleasure to have you here. And the list of accomplishments, when I saw it myself again, I just couldn't even, it's pages and pages of things that you've accomplished.
Thank you.
Incredible. And I think more as well for young people, you're such a leader. It's so inspiring. And we need lots of you. We need lots of good role models because everyone needs,
Absolutely. But I think we have to let Trey go now because where's he going next? He's going to his Kai Hondo.
Oh, okay, that's right. Sorry.
If I go over time, she's going to kill me.
Trey, I see you have for our viewers that they can reach you on Instagram. But what about for people listening on the radio? Who should reach out to you, and what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So there's a number of different ways. Like I'm pretty much across all social media platforms under Trey Sean Bensalmi, or even if you find us under the Bensalmi family, over on Instagram as well. But anywhere like LinkedIn, once again, it's just my name. And for those of you who do want to get in touch, there's a number of different things I have to offer. So more so around finances, mindset, motivation. So those are sort of like the three Just sort of like the three categories that most of things fall under. And thanks so much for having me on the show.
Thank you. And where can we buy your 14 books?
So all my books are available on Amazon, once again, just under my name.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on all your success. And we look forward to having you come back again.
Thank you. Take care.
Good. Take care. Bye now.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Hey everybody, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. I'm the host of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, and I want to invite you to pick up my book, Unstoppable. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. It's 7 universal laws that will transform how you pursue and achieve success. The one thing that my 20 years of law enforcement has taught me is that no matter who you are, we are all governed by universal laws, like gravity. But in this book, we're going to talk about laws like the law of forgiveness, laws like the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectancy. I was able to see how those, no matter what their background was, those who identified and treated these laws with respect, they were able to go on and lead successful lives. So pick up this book, and you can go ahead and pick it up at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, RalphGravesJr.com, where anywhere where fine books are sold. Thank you.
There are 7.7 billion people on Earth today. 40% of these people are under the age of 25. Young adults are the most fertile mission field in the world today. In Scripture, we see Jesus pouring his life into 12 young adults who he equipped to change the world and all of history. Like Jesus, we believe that the best approach to reach the world with the gospel is to invest in young, emerging leaders and equip them to build disciple-making movements. Concentric is the notion of surrounding and sharing a common center. Our center is the model and strategy of Jesus for both leadership development and ministry formation. As a global alliance, we provide equipping in biblical leadership based on Jesus' example in the New Testament. Jesus modeled for us how to make disciples that reproduce. Focusing on leadership development is key to creating movements that spread the gospel and Jesus' disciple-making strategy to young leaders around the globe. Our Ministry Alliance partners are actively equipping leaders and building movements of multiplication that reproduce the life of Christ. Join us today to equip young leaders with Jesus' strategy that will change cities and nations.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Academy Sedan and Limo is a full-service transportation company serving the Philadelphia metropolitan area with full knowledge of the New York City, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. areas. We pride ourselves on being the most dependable, conscientious company in the industry. Our always on-time service and dependable pricing make us the company to call for any event or occasion. Our vehicles can accommodate any size party for any occasion. Our vehicles range from four-door sedans to SUVs to minivans to limo buses to full-size tour buses and can accommodate groups of 2 to 100. We offer airport shuttle service or over-the-road service without limitation regarding mileage or time, and no drive is too long or too far. So if you find yourself in need of transportation of any type with any vehicle, give us a call at 610-842-4564 and let us show you what a real transportation company can do for you.
Use code ACADEMY2020 to receive 20% off your first 3 rides, including parking and tolls.
Hello and welcome back. You are watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents Celebrate Great Britain Royally Rich Show. Our co-host Cini is off today, and the stars of our show, Ian and Helena, are here with us. So welcome back.
Thank you. I think, as you know, Dr. Jacalyn, we bring on very successful people. We bring on people who've got the most amazing stories. And the next guest is equal to this. He's a man who I've known for a long time. He's a personal friend, but he's also a social entrepreneur. He's got all sorts of different issues in his life and challenges that he's had. He's a great businessman. He's a great mentor. Everything about him is such an incredible story. So shall we bring on the wonderful, the only Michael Spooner?
Thank you, Ian. Thank you very much. Hi, Dr. Jacalyn and Helena.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to see you.
Just to add one thing, you are also a successful management consultant, which is very important.
Yes.
So, Michael, as we said, you have had challenges in your life in an abundance, because part of your life you have been sighted, a large part of your life you haven't been sighted at all. But how would you describe your life? Because, for me, you're the most amazing character. Dr. Jacalyn, Michael and I meet quite regularly, and I'll say we'll meet in a certain part of London, and my goodness, he's there, and he is without sight. So how would you describe your life? Can you just give us a little bit of a history about how you got your degrees, how you had sight at one time and lost your sight again? Just give us a little bit of a background, Michael, please.
Okay, thank you, everybody. So I was born blind, and probably 1965 I was born, and I had an operation in 1967. A 2-year-old child, got my sight back, and that sight stayed with me for about 11 years till I was 13, and then something else went wrong with my eyes, and I was blind for about 3 years, 13 to 16. And then another groundbreaking operation at Moorfields Eye Hospital in London, England. And that operation gave me my sight back, but they didn't know if it was going to last long. So the surgeon says, Michael, get on with your life, get to do things, because we don't know how long your eyesight will remain with you. So between 16 and it turned out to be 5.5 years, I had to accelerate my education. So I did a lot of traveling, a lot of education, got 2 degrees, a HND, started to study law at Middlesex University. And then my sight went in May when I was 21 years old, just before my 21st birthday. And then that made a big change in my life. So I had to switch to management and business, because the advice I was given, and it was bad advice at the time, because people didn't know back in the day that becoming a lawyer would have been too difficult. They put all sorts of obstacles in my way, particularly the Law Society wouldn't license blind lawyers at the time. That would never happen now, but it happened at the time. So they were giving me negative advice about becoming a lawyer. And so I switched to become a management practitioner, and that started my journey as a management consultant and my journey into supporting people into business. And I worked for the last 20 years. So I became a consultant around 2001. So I've been working as a consultant for around 20 years now with various projects. Worked with not-for-profit companies, worked with about 250 small and medium-sized enterprises and about 30 local authorities across London and England and Wales. So I've done certainly served major clients along the way, and particularly government clients, Transport for London, and a whole range of big clients. But mainly I spend my time focusing on small enterprises, individuals that have an idea and they want to turn that idea into something concrete. So that's kind of how my journey. And I would say, Ian, even though being blind is a perceived disadvantage, in the world, and some of your listeners and viewers would see it as a disadvantage, and we know the practical disadvantages, but actually I see it as an advantage because it allowed me to do 2 or 3 things. It really allows you to focus on what you can do rather than what you can't do. And I know that all blind people can, with the education and training, can focus on knowledge-based professions. So any knowledge-based profession where you're paid for your expertise and your time, your eyesight is not necessarily a barrier to your success. And the second thing is, with faith in yourself and confidence and a little bit of hard work and dedication, I think you can really achieve all the things that you want to achieve for yourself. So I would encourage any blind person or any person overcoming a significant challenge to, focus on themselves, focus on building themselves, but really have faith and confidence and dedication in a very clear path, and write it down and make sure you get a plan for yourself. That's what I would say.
Michael, I love your positivity. That's fabulous. Thank you for sharing that with us. We've had lots of conversations, and you've been very generous offering advice about business and things, and I know how super you are. How can you give advice as to what makes a successful business?
All right. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Helena. So the first thing I would say to our listeners and viewers, I would say a successful business has to have about 3 key elements. First, you need a compelling, inspirational idea, because the thing about business, you have to attract support and help and investors. And so your idea, your vision has to be compelling and it has to embody an element of uniqueness. So you don't, a bit like Trey said earlier, you don't want to imitate people. You need to do something that is distinctive and different. So that's the first thing I would say to people. Secondly, you need to be passionate and committed to converting that idea into a business venture, into some kind of incorporated entity, some kind of business that's going to serve a group of clients where you're meeting their needs, overcoming their challenges, and often changing their lives as well in terms of the services that you're going to provide. There has to be demand for what you are trying to do. And then the third thing is that the owner or the founder has to spend time in what I would say business planning, researching, writing it down, looking for funding, and spending a lot of time funding the business venture, because often the biggest challenge, Ian and Dr. Jacalyn, is accessing finance for your business idea. There's many good ideas and good businesses that can't be financed by that particular individual. So it's really important that you get the financial journey and the financial plans in place, as well as the business plans. And then I think the last thing is get a group of support. I call it a circle of support around you. So it's not just the business advisors, the investors, the banks, the suppliers, but you need your family, the right parts of your family, friends, the local community, the kinds of people that can support your business idea and help you take it forward. And you do need to be hard at rejecting people that are negative, that act as obstacles to your business. So you really got to be hard with yourself. Sometimes your best friend could be your biggest obstacle to your idea. So you do need to be, have discernment and really focus on what is the right group of support around your business. I call that a circle of support around your business. And I think those are the kind of core things you need to start with. For every business, any business would have started that way, I would say.
Michael, it's such an honor to meet you and have you here today. And just listening to you speak, I have more and more questions because I'm so fascinated by your journey. But we don't have time for all of them right now. So what I will ask you is, how do you see British businesses recovering after lockdown?
All right. Well, of course, we've been through this significant global pandemic, and United Kingdom, in our wisdom, has gone through this Brexit process. So we've had a double whammy in terms of economic shocks to the economy. So, but I think businesses, the government, similar to the United States government, you call it a stimulus, we call it government expenditure, but the governments have put in 400 billion pounds in the United Kingdom. You've put in 1.9 trillion pounds of stimulus, and that will feed through, in my opinion, to recovery towards the end of 2022. So we are going to have a steady bounce back, a steady recovery. I think some of our commentators think it's going to be quicker. I actually think it's going to be the end of 2022. So we are got continuous recovery. The other area, Dr. Jacalyn, is that like America, Britain has this big hospitality, disproportionately large hospitality industry, which has been hit by the lockdown, and that will come back slowly. And our tourism and flights and the whole international travel, which is a real area of concern for myself and many commentators around business. So coming back from lockdown is good. We are relying on certain industries coming back. I think they're going to come back properly next year, really. This year, we're going to talk about it. On the 19th of July, the lockdown ends in the United Kingdom. I think it's ended in different places across America, but ours is ended on the 19th of July. And I think you will see an initial bounce back, but I think that process is going to take at least 12 months. I don't think it's going to be quick, but it will be steady progress. Many of our theatres, our restaurants, our pubs and our businesses some will not recover. I suspect a third of our restaurants won't make it, but we will get a churn of better businesses coming out of the wash as a result of this process. I do think there will be some positive outcomes, but for some people, their business won't make it because we simply had too many. We have actually now too many large businesses, restaurants or hospitality businesses, tourist businesses in our sector as a result of the changes that the pandemic has brought forward. But the last thing is we're going to see a big push on online versus bricks and mortar versus physical businesses. That technological shift is permanent, I think. People working from home, the whole changes in that process. So we are going to see a real shift, a permanent shift in how all businesses will have to embrace digitization, automation, and technological change. Those things are going to be embedded, and the businesses that can grab that opportunity are the ones that are going to succeed out of this lockdown process.
And Michael, the reality is that the British government is now creating global Britain.
Yes.
And we see the United States as one of our saviors. Come and save us, Dr. Jacalyn. Yes. Come and save us right now. We need America coming back to Britain. How do you build business bridges between Britain and the United States? What's your angle on that?
Yeah. Well, first, there's a long-standing shared history, shared language, shared culture. As you know, Ian, United Kingdom, British citizens love Americans, and Americans tend to love British people. We kind of have a kind of affinity with each other, and so there's a kind of cultural, long shared history and shared heritage, which are good foundations for building bridges and business. And of course, we're allies, long-standing allies since 1954 onwards, I suppose, if you want to formalize it. But really, the thing is, London is still, despite Brexit, London is still the premier financial centre for United States businesses listing, seeking finance. We have a good, clear regulatory background. Our legal and regulatory laws, free market trading. The trading environment for London and the United Kingdom is still phenomenally good for US businesses. I would say to them, look at our corporation tax advantage. In corporation tax in United Kingdom 2021 is 19%. United States is 28%. So any US business expanding to London or expanding to United Kingdom is going to get a corporation tax cost advantage in that process, i.e. they'll pay less taxes on their profits if they come to the United Kingdom. My opinion, there's tax advantages. There's the climate of business climate is still phenomenally good for London, and there's this shared history, the shared language, the shared, and the love of each other as people, which makes doing business in Britain really good. And the Global Britain brand, we are now freed up from the European restricted regulations so that we can actually forge separate trade deals with the United States. And we just done one with Australia. We're in the TCP, the new trade bloc that we're entering over the next 2 years. So we will be able to make Global Britain not just a brand, Ian, but we'll make it a reality over the next 5 to 10 years, I believe. And United States is always going to be one of our number one partners. We know there's complexity around a trade deal, but the wisdom of the United States and the wisdom of the United Kingdom will come together, and we'll make that trade deal work because we both will benefit from it as people. So I'm optimistic, Ian, about the bridges between the United States and Britain, and I look forward to be able to get on a plane, American Airlines from Heathrow, to fly to America soon. So I'm looking forward to that process. Thank you.
Michael, thank you. You always offer such great advice, and I'm sure everyone's going to be listening intently. I know, you know, more and more women are building their own business, which is great, which is really, really great. And they could do with your advice. Do you have any great advice to give us, everybody, all the women, wonderful, powerful women in the world?
Yes, I do. Well, fantastic. Thanks, Helena. So, yeah, I mean, one thing to say is that we know women-led businesses and female entrepreneurs have disproportionately been affected adversely from the pandemic. We know because of those hospitality businesses, large proportion of them women work in those sectors. So the sectors that were hit the hardest, women are disproportionately affected by those sectors. That's the first thing we should say and acknowledge. But yeah, you're right. The three things I would say women-led businesses or female entrepreneurs should focus on, same as before: compelling idea, business plan, research, focus on groups of clients, making sure that you can stand out from the crowd in your business idea, and go back to basics. So it's go back to fundamental basics first. That's what I would say. Secondly, look at your whole offer, and including taking into account childcare, all the caring responsibilities. We know women disproportionately have caring responsibilities and childcare. So all of that's got to be taken into account when looking at your business, including your support from family and friends and so on. So what I would say is, but the most important thing is, in particularly UK businesses, take time, money and effort out in looking at the funding landscape, because that's the biggest obstacle, access to finance. And there's two free funding sources I would ask you. Go on J4B Grants, and you can look this up on the website. J4B Grants is a place that they can start. Download the business finance guide from .gov.uk. That's full of brilliant information. And go on to an organisation called Funding Circle if you're looking for really, really good competitive business loans and stuff. So funding your business idea in terms of women-led businesses is important. But also many women have really, really good networks. You need to connect to all your connected business networks or personal networks to support your business. Not just family, friends, but the whole networks in the community, because in Britain we're missing out on a large proportion of female entrepreneurs. You know, women make up 51% of our population, similar in America, I suspect. And we've got untapped potential amongst women entrepreneurs, and it's something that we really do need to. So I would encourage women to start a business. It's a great way to feed your family, feed yourself, do something, gain the flexibility and have command and control over your life. Because when you work for somebody else, obviously you have to work to a regime that the employer puts into place. I really promote self-employment and people being free to pursue the path that they want to pursue. So women there's not enough women, but I know over time this is going to be an area of growth in the British economy. And in fact, the Alison Rose report 2019, she did a report on women entrepreneurs. I think she's chief executive of Royal Bank of Scotland, or NatWest Bank, and she did a really good report that's just reported progress in 2021, April 2021. So it's something that, Helena, you should download because it's got some great advice in that report for women-led businesses. So I would, the Rose Report, I think they call it, and I would advise you to download that material.
That's so helpful, Michael, for me, but for all my women friends. Thank you. That's a huge amount of information in a short space of time, and we're really thankful.
Okay.
For women everywhere. Thank you, Michael.
Yes.
Michael,
Okay.
we'd love to hear a story of success that you've experienced in business.
Yeah. Well, I've just recently been working with they're a marketing and branding company, and I was called in to do a bit of business planning and a look at helping them to do some finance work. And there's two women that work together, and what I was struck by these individuals is but they're two friends. The first thing is building business on a foundation of friendship. Because when the tough times come, you got to hang together as business partners. So the first thing I was struck is that the friendship was solid and long-standing. They had all the plans in place, but they were very long-winded. I was there to help them cut to the quick and cut that down and get them operational. And I've been working with them for 3 months, doing a bit of business coaching with them. But what the success starts with. And this is some things that they've been telling me. Success starts with really committing themselves to an idea that they had 5 years ago. It took them 5 years to really take their brand. I think they do branding, merchandising, and they're also a marketing consultancy. But it took them 5 years to get together because they had different jobs, and they finally left their jobs, finally came together, and then finally took it forward. And it's really what I was really impressed with is and they're only 32 and 33. What I was impressed with is this whole thing about friendship, commitment, staying the course, sticking to your values, and sticking to your original ideas, even though they got some bad advice from their banks. They got some bad advice from family members that kind of put them off, but they stuck to what they wanted to do, and they've gone full. So my experience of really friendship as a foundation for business is really good. I think if you're working with people, you've got to really get to know them, get under their skin, and you're going to have to get to know them. So you're going to have to really have solid friendships, solid ways of understanding each other, good communication. These are the things they were telling me what makes their business successful. So I would use that as a simple example to share with other people, listeners and viewers listening to this show. Build it around solid foundations. That's what I would say your business. And it has to be things that once you've nailed them down, you don't waver from them. So your values, your friendship, your commitment, the idea, the plan will change, but it's the solidness of the plan is really, really important. Once you've got those kind of things in place, I think success will come a matter of time. So even though you will have failures, I don't call them you'll have stepping stones of learning along the way, but you will get to the success over time. So that would be the example I would give, immediate example off the top of my head. Really.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, that was brilliant. I was listening in to a clubhouse room today, and it was called Breakfast of Champions, and they were talking about determination, how important determination is. It's more important than motivation and more important than inspiration. And I'm wondering, what are your thoughts when it comes to a successful business?
Yeah, I think, yes, determination, but you've got to be determined to do a specific goal, objective. So determination is the grit that keeps you going, the resilience bit that keeps you going when difficulty comes along, and difficulty will come along the road. So determination is important, but I would say you do need to be inspired, and you do need to have strong internal values. I think your values are really important. I think people don't do enough work around their values and their internal values and beliefs, and those values that you transmit to the business. I think they're really sort of anchors that will make success happen in all business. When you go back to everybody's story, even Trey's story, you can hear some of the values that came out of his conversation. And I think there's values there, and there's support, and there's determination. So determination, yes, but you need the grit and the resilience and the goals to point you in the right direction, really. And that's how I would say in terms of business success.
Thank you very much. You've given us so much fabulous information, and we are streaming your banner for people who are watching. But for people listening on the radio, what's the best way to reach out to you, and who should contact you?
Oh, well, I would like anybody that wants to help with their business idea, wants to be mentored or coached or supported in any way, or just want general information around their business, they should contact me at LinkedIn, Michael Spooner or MA Spooner Limited on LinkedIn, or they can email me at admin@maspooner.co.uk, or go to my website, www.maspooner.co.uk. So those are 3 ways they can contact me. But I'm on Facebook, we're on Twitter as well, and they can but the best way is to go directly to the source, LinkedIn or the website, and the contact details are there. And I'll promise you I'll get back to you. If you email me, I will get back to some of your listeners and viewers if they need help. It's always a pleasure to help people because I learn as well as them. And it's always a privilege to help businesses because businesses are our future, particularly our economic future, and it will be the same in America as well. It's our future. And so it's always a pleasure to help people.
Michael, can people reach out to you regardless of where they are in the world?
Oh, it doesn't matter if they're in the United States or in America. I'm quite happy to talk to them. I would love to talk to, like I said, we're British people. We love our American cousins. We want to help, always.
Wonderful. And your website is www.maspooner, like his last name, Spooner.co.uk.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Ian and Helena, anything more for Michael?
For me, I think you're great, Michael, and you are such a great business mentor. You offer so much advice, and I think everyone will be really thankful, especially when they listen to this back. You offer a lot of great, valuable advice. So we thank you.
Thank you, Helena. Thank you.
I think so. And I think, there's lots of questions that you can be asked, Michael, because you're such an all-rounder, with business advice. I wonder, do you still have challenges in your life? And do you still have dreams, wishes of your own?
Yes, Ian, still got challenges. The more technologically we get, so for instance, the flat screen mobile phones, all that technology, it still challenges me because much of our technology is actually icon based. So you actually need to be able to see it to access it. And we're still not very good at assisting blind people with that technology. So all around the world, about 4% of the global population can't see. 96% of everybody on the planet can see. So most things are catered for people that can see. And so the challenge for the world, the technological world, is how are you going to help the 4%, the 2 million Indian people that can't see on the planet? How are you going to help them get the technological advance? So that's one challenge that I struggle with as well. I have to, my staff, my team, obviously help me with that, but when I'm on my own, it's always a challenge with the technology. But the other challenge is people's attitude. People are still negative towards blind people. They still have a negative view, and I'm trying to be an example for people to say that there's a positive story for, blindness doesn't inhibit you from doing all great things and being positive and having a great life. So I want the listeners and the viewers to be positive about, not to be negative about visual impairment or blindness, because it isn't necessarily a negative thing. It's a reality for some people, and they'll overcome and they'll be successful, but they may need your support and your positive help rather than your negative help. So there are challenges out there. I still have dreams, Ian. My dreams are to help as many people as possible, build my own, obviously, business, reach out and be the business good Samaritan, if you like, out there if I can. That's my dream, to do a few things like that. Maybe write my first proper book. Now I've seen Trey write my first book, because I've got it written down in different places. I've got lots and lots of material, but I haven't brought them together in a single publication. So I think I'm being inspired by Trey to do that as well. So that's another part of my dream.
Excellent.
Thank you, Ian.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much. It sounds like for the entrepreneurs out there and the inventors, there's a whole plethora of opportunity to help develop technology that can help people who don't have sight. So I thank you for bringing that to the attention of all of us.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. I really appreciate your time on the show. It's a privilege to have met you.
It's a privilege to have met you also. And remember, for our audience who's just joined in, I'm watching on Facebook, some people just joined us. You can go over to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV, and you can subscribe and watch the show right there.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Michael. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
Okay, Michael.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Wow.
Well, of course, two amazing guests you brought today. Again, you know all the best people.
Well, I mean, it's been a heart-stopping show today.
We started out with some bloopers, right?
But it all turned out extremely streamlined in the end.
Keep them all for Christmas. Keep them all.
We'll have a blooper party. We'll get them all together, definitely. So we didn't get to chat in the beginning of the show, but what's been going on over there? There was a big match that took place, and unfortunately, it wasn't the best outcome. But tell us about it.
You know what? Okay, so we didn't actually win, but hey, it was a good match. I mean, a lot of our players are so young, and they have taken us to the final, which is unheard of. I don't know how many years. When was the last time we were in the final?
1966.
There you go. So, I mean, goodness me, you know, I think it's Sancho. I think one of them was 19 years old, and they are just phenomenal. Such good role models, and there has been, unfortunately, a little bit of a blur. It's always the case, isn't it, that you always have a few people that put a bad taste in your mouth, and there has been a little bit of talk on racism, etc. But you know, it's such a minority of people. You always get people that infiltrate these football matches, unfortunately, and it always puts a bit of a damper. But hey, forgetting about that, the Duke of Cambridge said the great thing. You know, it's abhorrent. We won't put up with it. And people will be accountable, and they will be accountable. Then it will rid any of this horribleness from the game. But it was a positive game. I think sometimes people get really frustrated when you don't win. But you know, the amount of effort that these boys and you know how courageous they were to sit and do these penalties, because you know it's very, very easy to lose at penalties. Let's be honest. It's it's either in or it isn't. And I just think they will come back as stronger than ever, and we will win next year. Yay!
I think the biggest thing that it really, to my mind, was that the crowds that we were seeing in central London, for example, they were all races, they were all obviously nationalities, all religions, and they came together. And that is what makes Britain great.
Yeah.
You know, when you sort of see issues like that, that is what makes Britain great. And I think the reality is that it brought the nation together. We laughed together when we scored the first goal. We cried together when we lost the match at the end of the time on penalties. But I think what it's done is Great Britain really needs right now to raise its game again. It needs to be able, the people need to be able to sort of see there are opportunities again. And that's another reason, apart from many reasons, but that's another reason why we love doing your show, Dr. Jacalyn, because we want to highlight to British people that America is interested in us as well, and the values that we have, I think, are enjoyed in America, and we enjoy American values coming back again.
Fantastic. I want to share with you that I was at the gym. I mentioned I joined the gym, and all the televisions except for one had the match on. And there were people standing and looking. It was pretty cool.
And you weren't sort of, you didn't have a heart machine on or anything at the time. I mean, I think we could have done it in Britain. I swear to goodness, you know, the amount of shock, horror moments that we had. You know, thank God. You know, I think if I'd had a heart pacemaker, which I don't have, by the way, but if I did have, I think it would have burnt out during that. You know, I've never seen so much toing and throwing in all our lives, but it was what it was.
It is.
Did you guys watch it in a pub or something, or did you watch it at home?
Watched it at home. But I was scared. I mean, I'm not a real football fan, but I just love the idea that football brings people together. It's such an inclusive sport, so it's great fun for everybody, different age groups as well. And I was screaming at the telly. It was great. It was lovely seeing the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and Prince George as well. They're all suited and booted, and they were all hugging each other. And it's lovely. It's a really nice feeling. It was good fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Even though we lost, but we didn't really lose. I mean, we were in the final. I mean, it's like silver, isn't it? I guess. We will be stronger next time. And is it Gareth Southgate? I got that right. Yeah, yes. he's going to get his knighthood as well, isn't he? Which is great. I think he's superb. He's I think he's a great person. So
and I think next time I'm going to take some. Librium, whatever it's called. Before, you know, just some of these calming sort of pills or sort of stuff. But you know, I think for people like myself, the reality is that I'm probably one of the few people. It's actually 55 years since we've won any soccer tournament, and I should know that because I've been working for 55 years. And the very first month that I started work was the 1966 World Cup, which we won against Germany. And I remember I was in Scotland at the time. So Simon will probably because I think he's my age. I don't know. But it was in Scotland at the time, and we just made it just in time to watch the England match. Actually sort of happen as well. So it's 55 years. 55 years. And by the end of that match the other day, I was feeling my age.
A question I have for both of you. When we look at least here in the States, the younger generations are leaving their work quicker, right? They have maybe at the end of their career, they might have had 15 jobs or 20 jobs. But you just mentioned, Ian, that you've been doing this for broadcasting journalism, international presence for 55 years. What is it that still inspires you to continue on with this journey?
Hopefully one day I'll get it right, Dr. Jacalyn. Hopefully one day.
Hey, be honest.
One day. No, you know, I think the thing that inspires me are people like Helena. What inspires me as well is I hope we are doing good. You know, I hope we're doing good for young people. Bringing people like Trey on the show today gives him this wonderful chance to highlight his skills right across America at the same time. Helena, you know, she's one of these wonderful people, you know, who really constantly is looking to improve situations for women, for Britain, you know, and for the show at the same time. And I think what constantly gives us that edge is finding these wonderful people, you know, that we are proud of being British, but we're also proud of having a British broadcasting opportunity to America and to such a wonderful audience like the audience that you have as well.
And it's all about shining a light on people and, you know, what they've achieved, what they can offer, and that it's so important. It's collaborating, isn't it? And it's special. It's really special.
It definitely is. And I really appreciate how committed both of you are to helping other people and helping people bring their stories to light to inspire other people. And I think what we found is when people go through really tough adversity, they can come out on the other side as a role model, as an inspiration, as a leader.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think it's important. You know, we celebrate Great Britain. You know, we're putting our own project together right now, and it's there designed to actually highlight the values. But it's also the beauty of Celebrate Great Britain and the country that we live in is they're all creeds, they're all nationalities, they're all colours, they're all religions, and we have the ability to actually highlight their personal values. And that's the most important thing as well, because we're really like a United Nations in Britain, you know, of all the different communities. We have Americans over here as well. They're doing well. You know, we love the world, you know. We want more people to come to Britain. But at the same time, we can't wait to come back to the United States as well.
Well, I'm hoping that you're coming in October.
Well, we'll try. At the moment, it depends on.
We should be able to. It should be by then. Yeah, I would think.
You know, let's absolutely. But it's just, you know, as I say, I think opportunities like this are really awesome. You know, and that, I mean, the amount of people wanting to come on these shows. As soon as we talk about, you know, we've now got a show in New York. It goes across America. There's the wow factor as well, you know, and I think it's very important now for us to stimulate as best we can and inspire people as well, you know, and it works both ways, because I was researching a lady the other day, and she looks after music, and she's a talent agent and a musical agent, and she's got a London address, but she's in New York. And so, it's fascinating to see how we're not apart anymore. We're together, and I think that's the most important message of the night.
I agree with you. I like that. I also want to thank you for the musical talent that you have brought to the platform. And as you know, we've had some amazing music videos that we can share. We've had a movie trailer. And so keep bringing it on, because we're hungry for that kind of entertainment over here as well.
Thank you.
We will.
And I think there are some big ones, you know. I mean, fortunately, the video of me singing in the bath didn't actually go onto YouTube, but that one will never be seen. Please, God.
Helena, are you arranging that, or?
There's only meant to be a joke with my duck in my hair.
I'm so sorry, but I can't even think about anything like that at all. What I would say though is, it just, obviously we've been talking about it. I actually stayed up all night the other night, but it was because I kept on thinking, was it Starship Enterprise? What was that program? And just, I cannot believe that the Virgin Galactic, you know, the test flight that's just being done, that Branson's just succeeded in, which was like an hour, wasn't it? Because it really was once the stuff of science fiction, and now it's real. And it's going to be coming very, very soon. And for me, it's like, wow, what's the name of that program? Does it start Captain Kirk and all of that?
Yeah, what was the tagline? Where no man has dared to go, or something?
Something like that. But now it's like, it's, you know, 1 hour, you know, weightlessness. I think it's phenomenal. It sort of blows my mind, really. And to think in like 2022 or something, we're going to be doing journeys. Would you do it, Dr. Jacalyn?
I don't know. If you guys want to go there with me, we can broadcast.
Yeah. It's going to be something like $300,000 a trip, I think.
Yeah.
Which is a bit like, ooh.
Yeah, I don't know. Would you do it?
I am not somebody who's racing to do it personally, but I can see that I can really see that if you've got loads of money and you want that experience, why not? Because it's amazing. I mean, Branson was saying that he couldn't even describe what it was like looking down on Earth. He just said he would do it a disservice by saying it, but it was just, magical and just so beautiful. So there is part of me that thinks it would be good, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not being brave. Maybe I need to take lead from our wonderful, footballers. But I at this minute, I just don't feel I can do it. Maybe in 2022.
I think the advice my parents gave me very, very early on in the career, I think answers the question at the moment and their advice was keep your feet firmly on the ground.
Oh.
Keep your feet, and I think I'm sure it's a great trip. I'm sure that for people who can afford those types of things, it's great fun. But I have just as much excitement enjoying life and enjoying what we're doing here as I do flying around the atmosphere in some starship that I'm not sure whether it's been flown by him or what.
So you're not being fearful. You're not being fearful. You just decide it's just not for you.
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
I think there's so many places on the earth that I'd like to see before going there. Like I told you, I'm planning on coming over to see you guys in the UK sometime in the spring. So I'm really excited about that. And that's on the list as more of a priority than leaving the planet. So we have a comment from the lovely Diane Bain. I love this show. Please keep it up. It is lovely to see all the town, our cousins across Bond, share with us on your show. Ian, I am like you. I like my feet on the ground.
You see?
Yeah. I get it.
I think I think the reality these days is that I come from a different era, but I love this era now. I love the thought that we can talk to each other simultaneously right across the world. And I remember, you're both too young to remember, but I remember a thing called Telstar. And Telstar was the first ever satellite. And in 1963, I think it was the first time that British television ever did a live broadcast from New York. And it flickered away, and it was in black and white. But we actually, and that moment was the moment that people like myself, I was 14, 15 years old at that time, and we saw things like that, and we saw the future. And now we're seeing the future again, but this future now, I hope, is harmony. The technology is there to create harmony across the world. And that's what I think shows like ours and with organizations like yours does for all of us. It creates the harmony that's necessary in this world.
Thank you. That is really well said. And we're doing it together. So it's an incredible journey. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the next show right after this, the Underdog Show, will be the 400th broadcast of Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn since August. Okay. Is that amazing?
It's amazing. That is a real feat. Congratulations.
Now tell me one of your secrets. You've got to have a cookie jar as well, surely, haven't you? Is there a cookie jar under the camera?
No, I actually have this banana if my sugar level starts to get low. But
all the secrets are coming out now.
Yes. And I'm standing in a full-length gown wearing white sneakers with pink and yellow trim. So there it is. It's great fun. So any hints about what we can expect next week?
Well, hopefully one of the guests that we should have had this week, who, as we've had on before with Amy Winehouse, is coming up to an anniversary with Amy Winehouse. So we hope that, providing he's better again, he will be one of our guests this week. There you go. You see as well, and so we can talk about that, and Sam as well. We hope Sam may be watching today, and we wish him all the best. But we will have all the latest news. Helena spends hours, really sort of trying to get.
There's not as much news as you'd expect. But maybe we'll have like.
By the way, I wanted to mention to you, and I'm not a paid spokesperson, but in People magazine, there was an article about Princess Diana's statue that you had talked about the week before, and I got to see it.
Yeah. What did you think? What was your
I thought, first of all, the detail of the clothing, that, you know, the shirts and the belt, I thought it was amazing. What is it made out of? Bronze?
You know, I'm
not too sure what it's made out of.
Something like that. I think it's just one of these times, you know, that perhaps where we are in Britain and perhaps in America as well, we're in a time of reflection, aren't we? Right now, you know, we really are in our lives, you know, and I think what the pandemic has done for both America and for Britain, it's made us reflect upon what are the real values in our lives, what are the things that really are important in our lives as well, and how can we actually make these dreams and ambitions and values come true. That's quite profound.
It's telling a story. It's very true. But it also is the silly season, as you say. And at the silly season, there's never as much news.
There always is. I mean, as a journalist, you know, a lot of my career was working in print, so newspapers. And this time of year, it was known in Great Britain as the silly season. Yeah. You know, and you know, the daft things I used to have to get up to actually sort of sometimes perhaps I should you know, perhaps a confession. This is a true confession now. Sometimes we may have contrived the news this time of year just to bring some sort of entertainment onto the news pages.
Well, you can talk to yourself, because I've never done that.
Well,
Helena.
He tries to involve me, I know. He tries to involve me in all of this, but I'm not taking it.
A very quick Anglo-American story. At one stage in my career, a lot of my work was to do with animals, and I used to be an animal photographer. And in the very, very heady days of when this American show with this bald American, Telly Savalas and Kojak first started, I noticed that chimpanzees that were in some of our entertainment parks in Britain liked lollipops. And if you remember with Kojak, Kojak loved lollipops as well. And so I spent one day and I suggested to a particular safari park that perhaps we could rename a chimp called Kojak, and this could sell across the world, especially to the Americans. It took us 4 hours to actually get the picture that I was after. And by the end, this baby chimpanzee was climbing the bars to get away from us to try and get the picture. So I have to admit, at times, I confess, we did have to contrive to create news.
That is a great story, by the way. I was always a huge Telly Savalas fan. How about that?
Yeah.
He was a great, and I think he was a great ambassador as well, because you know, I think he had political leanings, if I remember rightly, at the same time. You know, and in Britain, you know, things like Cagney and Lacey. So I'm going back into the realms of, and I met them both. I actually worked with them both as well.
Oh,
and I must admit, I loved the blonde girl. I had a sort of a bit of a crush, you know, on the blonde girl, you know, Cagney and Lacey. And I met her years afterwards, and I confessed to her I had a crush on her, and she was very kind to me as well.
Guess what? I had a crush on Telly Savalas. I always kept thinking maybe he'd come out of that TV screen and ask me for a date, but it didn't happen. So, well, we're having so much fun, and I see my next show is coming right up. So yes, we could just stay here forever. And by the way, Cini, we missed you today, Cini. We look forward to you coming back next week. Ian and Helena, anything you want to spotlight before we say goodbye for our show today?
I think the reality this week is that we're bringing people together. We can show that young and old people, especially young people, can be entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
how about you?
Absolutely, no, absolutely, and it's wonderful to hear young people's stories, and we need these role models. And we will have another young person next week. We have Penciled, who is super. I'm not going to give a name just in case things change, but you know, it's amazing how much, I don't know, how much people can achieve at such a young age. And you know, they're role models for me and us, let alone young people. So yeah, really look forward to more people coming on the show and us talking like we're doing now. So great stuff. It's been a good show, Dr. Jacalyn. Thank you.
Yes, and it's such a pleasure working with both of you. And for our audience, Ian and Helena get the guests and they prepare what it is we're going to talk about. They put a lot of effort into it. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, we appreciate you as well. So it's a mutual American-UK appreciation society.
It is.
Yes, fantastic. All right, I will say goodbye to you as we get ready for our next show. So stay with us, folks. The Underdog Show is coming right up, and it's show number 400. We hope that you will join us. And we'll be back next week with Celebrate Great Britain Royally Rich Show. Bye-bye.
Next week.
Bye. Bye. Hey guys, I just wanted to say goodbye because I have to get changed really fast, but great show.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
I wish I'd taken my glasses off actually, because they're too dark. I look like seriously like Madame Scurry. I think it makes me look really old, and then it's best to take them off.
Oh, okay. What? It's this because we're still on.
Yeah. Okay.